no music. This is just as they used to do in old Greece, without the formal melody. I'm just going to give a recap of everything that's happened to Abrusha so far. Abrusha worked for a jeweler. A watch made of gold he didn't take. They locked him away in the cooler. Later, Abrusha escaped. He lived off of roots in the tundra, lived for a while in a town. He traveled around as wanderer. By police, he never was found. He burned all his passports and papers. He lived as Abrusha disguised. The cops, they forgot the whole caper. He grew a long beard to his thighs. He built a small house made of cardboard. He wanted to never pay rent. He attracted a pretty young girlfriend. They had serious argument. He went to a religious commune. He learned about yoga and God. He got papers to go work in Moscow, where men taught him how to smoke pot. He then was invited to Haifa. For years, he was a refusnik. He then got the visa. He tried and he went to become a refusnik. He started to think about Russia. To Samara, a ticket he bought. A realtor became our Abrusha. As a tourist, the globe he did trot. He sold many luxury apartments. He lived a luxurious life. Big money came in his apartment. He made a girl from Chicago his wife. He luckily got her pregnant quickly and waited to be naturalized. The 7-year wait was tricky, and finally his green card arrived. They built this new house in Seattle. He gave birth to several sons, but his wife fell in love with some asshole, and finally the marriage was done. He then became a Greenpeace member. He fell deep in love with a guy. He started to write his own memoirs. He invited his mother, oh my. He bought a 2-meter-long hound. He memorized Dr. Seuss verse. He was baptized in Jesus, he found. He did volunteer charity work. Abrusha had a midlife crisis. He sold all his records and books. He bought all new clothes at low prices and took on a sea captain's looks. He sailed all the way to Korea and hunted rare species of whale. In Bangkok, he got diarrhea, so back to Seattle he sailed. He went to his cousin in Phoenix and worked as a salesman in cars. He invented reusable Kleenex. At night, he would study the stars. He then was inducted by E.T. They took him up into their craft, and what happened next was cheeky. It's better you don't even ask. Abrusha woke up in a cornfield and hitchhiked out to LA. He worked for a while in the porn field and drank his own pee every day. He took a much-needed vacation and traveled to Europe to ski. He had a sex change operation and lived in Berlin as Marie. He worked at the Jewish Museum. They gave him a special display. The people paid extra to see him. He taught them how to say oy vey. He took on prescribed medications and frequented S&M bars. His lovers were also his patients. He healed them by giving them scars. He contracted a rare meningitis. No, I'm sorry. He adopted a baby from Haiti and sold it to tourists in France. He noticed he was getting weighty, so he practiced aerobical dance. He contracted a rare meningitis and almost died from his disease, but scientists said he was righteous, so they put him in a cryogenic freeze. Abrusha selected cold storage. They blew up the nuclear boom. The world went into a new stone age, and cavemen discovered his tomb. They thawed out his body with fire. They wanted to keep him alive, but he woke up and started a choir and taught them cantatas and jive. Abrusha, he started from zero. He established a collective farm. He didn't want to be a hero, but he hired a private strong arm. He developed security powers. They captured a nomadic tribe. He made them plant coffee and flowers, and they offered him potpourri bribes. They started a great excavation to search for lost things they could use. They dug up a radio station and used CDs as earrings and shoes. A messenger came to Abrusha. A flashlight he had in his hand. He said, our great army will crush him. So Abrusha gave up all his land. What is that? So, Abrusha ran off to the forests. He lived with a family of bears. He married a wicked sorceress. She made him shave off all his hairs. He married a wicked sorceress. She made him shave off all his hairs. He composed a new system of grammar and instructed his sorceress bride. They performed lots of ritual drama and traveled to lands far and wide. He performed lots of ritual drama and traveled to lands far and wide. They met Amazonian women who worshipped his wife as a king. Mashiach is in Zungekimen. In Yiddish to her they did sing. Mashiach is in Zungekimen. In Yiddish to her they did sing. Abrusha felt alienated. He went to go live on a hill. For 7 years he meditated and pondered his absence of will. For 7 years he meditated and pondered his absence of will. He solved philosophic conundrums and categorized different smells. He emerged from his hermetic doldrums and searched for some people to tell. He emerged from his hermetic doldrums and searched for some people to tell. He stood on the top of a fountain and preached to a gathering of birds. He said, "I come down from the mountain," but they didn't understand his words. He said, "I come down from the mountain," but they didn't understand his words. He tried to convert a whole village, but they gave him the bubonic plague. So their money and horses he pillaged. He stole from the chickens their eggs. Their money and horses he pillaged. He stole from the chickens their eggs. Abrusha lost all his disciples. His life had been foolishly spent. He thought it was all but a trifle. And into the darkness he went. He thought it was all but a trifle, and into the darkness he went. Okay, so those were the three parts of the life of Abrusha, written by Psoy Korolenko and myself. Psoy has a son. He calls him Pich. His name is Misha, Mike. And Mike wrote the first half of the prequel, the beginning of the life of Abrusha, and we've now completed it to be the fourth part. I think it's the final part, but who knows, it might be like Star Wars. Abrusha was conceived in a bathroom, 8 months in a belly he dwelled. Untimely was ripped from his mom's womb and stayed in a hospital cell. Untimely was ripped from his mom's womb and stayed in a hospital cell. Abrusha was nicknamed. His mom ran away with a whore. He got the foreskin on his dick maimed. His dad was lost hunting a boar. He got the foreskin on his dick maimed. His dad was lost hunting a boar. Abrusha was raised by his sister. He milked from the teat of a goat. His mother returned and he kissed her. Abrusha a symphony wrote. His mother returned and he kissed her. Abrusha a symphony wrote. At 3 the small boy started talking. At 4 he could read simple books. At 5 his low prices on toys was stalking. He defended the mansion from crooks. The prices on toys he was stalking. He defended the mansion from crooks. His house was put into foreclosure. He went to a church school for boys, but the head priest found out he was kosher, so they expelled him for spoiling the boys. The head priest found out he was kosher, so they expelled him for spoiling the boys. Abrusha played Little League hockey. He critically injured his knees. He worked as a winning disc jockey and collected exorbitant fees. He worked as a wedding disc jockey and collected exorbitant fees. He grew hair all over his body and he played in a rock and roll band. He got a black belt in karate and broke many things with his hand. He got a black belt in karate and broke many things with his hand. His desires were getting much stronger. A lesbian took him to bed. They went to a tango milonga, and she robbed him and left him for dead. They went to a tango milonga, she robbed him and left him for dead. He had many lovers named Sasha that didn't have money for food, so he worked as a migrant dishwasher and was known as a sexy young dude. fire a gun. But revolution made him weary. His radical days were all done. La revolution made him weary. His radical days were all done. He then had some unknown adventures. From our story, he just disappeared. Some say to the north he did venture, for he came back so frozen and weird. Some say to the north he did venture, for he came back so frozen and weird. He lived as a church, a monk in a cloister. When he longed to be finally free, the world opened up as an oyster. Who knew what the future would be? The world opened up as an oyster. Who knew what the future